All right. Elevating leadership to new heights. Today, we're welcoming a new team member on the ICC team, on the In Charge Coaching team. So this is going to be a very personal live for us, giving you some insight into the functioning of our team and how we live by our values. Today, or this week, we're also talking about onboarding. So there's going to be an opportunity to lean into some of that. So what you're going to see today is a sneak peek behind the scenes of how I run my team. And if we're just getting to know each other, my name's Melissa. I'm an executive coach and a management consultant, and I work with leaders and I work with teams to create self-managed teams that get the work done and give leaders back their time to work on the strategic work that's important to them. Helping me do that, I am not a one-person band. I rely really heavily on my team to help me pull this off. We are very busy. Ghislain, welcome, who is joining us today on this live, is the Director of Operations. She does everything from beginning to end, and she is a support to myself, to Ghislain, here to the team, but also to every single client. Ghislain, what would you like to offer?
Sure. So we do these lives to kind of talk about relatable things for leaders. And I come on primarily to offer the employee perspective. So oftentimes leaders, um, they get so wrapped up in, moving that sometimes they forget to slow down and think about from the employee perspective. So that's kind of why I come to these and chat with you, Melissa, about the employee perspective.
And I value that a lot. And it's not, sometimes we forget about the employee perspective is as we're elevating and moving in our career, it's going to happen because there is more space between what used to be of concern to us to where we are now. So that regaining that perspective is always helpful.
Definitely.
And we're welcoming today Ghislain Levesque. He has been here since January, so he's not brand new. This isn't his first week, except that we haven't quite introduced him yet to the world. But
Not officially.
yeah, so the people inside, my clients know him well now. And so Ghislain is our director of client solutions. And what that means to me is that he's on the front lines helping me finding solutions, being resourceful and finding the right solutions for our clients and putting that together. And Ghislain, I'm gonna throw that back to you. What does that mean to you, the director of client solutions?
It keeps evolving, Melissa. But honestly, last 4 months has been interesting because working with different organizations and individuals on helping them reach their finding the right solution for them to reach their development goals professionally, and which in turn helps them personally as well. So I see myself as a bit of a guide to get to a situation where they know that they want to keep working on themselves, that the program or service that you'll facilitate for them will really help them get there, right? So I'll add that coming from a leadership background previously. I've been able to go through your flagship program and a couple other development programs, and it's been an increasing my awareness around like how important it is for organizations and individuals have been increasing week after week, day by day.
So my team is completely focused on people. So we have a people first approach to how we work together, but also to how we take care of our business. So I am focused on delivery and coaching and consulting. Ghislain is focused on touching, nurturing, and making sure people have their needs met. And Ghislain is guiding and making sure that we're always finding the right solution to solve the problem, solve the challenge, and get people to where they want to be. So Ghislain, let's get a little personal. Are you comfortable with that?
Of course.
He's like, I'm gonna brace myself. Ghislain's like, I'm so happy I'm not on the hot seat.
I've been there before.
You come from a leadership background. You've had many years in a leadership position.
Yes.
What are some common what are some of the leadership challenges that you've encountered?
There's been a few. There's some common ones, Melissa, and I'm seeing them as I keep meeting new customers and some of your previous clients. Is primarily a lot of I've encountered managing through change being very difficult in a sense that especially when you have to cross-function organization wide, and you have direct reports which all have their own teams. It's everybody's different, right? Every individual is different, so knowing how to navigate through change as like individually but as a team simultaneously is it's one of those that unless you have your competencies to be able to navigate through all that are being actively worked on, you may get lost and find a little bit of misalignment, and once that starts building, their trust may erode a little bit, and you once you start bleeding trust, then it's one of those that's very hard to repair.
There's always resistance. There's a lot of feelings that come up around change, and resistance is always a part of it. So I think there is a need to understand how to work with that resistance, navigate it, move through it. Not pretend that it's not going to be there, but know that it will arise. Understand the flavor of resistance that you're working with, and understand what it means to lead through change, to lead through the cycle of change, and navigate that resistance. To turn it into emotions that actually move the needle forward. So leading through change is a big part of what we do here internally.
And it's a common theme. I mean, it's something I've experienced personally in a previous life, but as I work with organizations and individuals, it's on a different scale. But there's always question marks around how to work through change, and some question marks are bigger than others. But having the proper strategy and kind of moving forward vision can make the world of a difference and in tackling that.
Yeah. A second main, and I'm just going to put this on the table here, a second main theme that I have noticed is the dealing with conflict and navigating hard conversations. And I'm bucketing them together because they're very similar in nature, and the way that we would move through it is very similar. And then we can talk about like what effective feedback and all of that stuff kind of ties into that theme. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, navigating conflict is definitely present in a lot of situations in the workplace. I've also seen a lot of emotion comes from those situations, and sometimes navigating through those emotions it can be challenging because there's always many different emotions present, and if you're not able to recognize them, then conflict could become something that affects, that becomes toxic in a sense.
Yeah. And the third theme that comes up a lot is influence. It's that ability to have an effect on the people around you, that it be working through your team very effectively or managing up. That ability to influence. What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, being the ability to influence without for lack of better words, micromanaging or keeping your thumb on the pulse is where every leader wants to be, right? The question is, how do you get there? And what are all the things from the ground up you could work on as an individual so that your team's well aligned? And
I
that's
think
where,
you hit something on the head there without micromanaging.
yeah.
Sometimes we don't know how to be effective and how to transition from management to leadership, to lead people. We manage things, we lead people, and do it in a way that feels good, that feels aligned with our values, that doesn't require us to sacrifice ourselves, to hold people's hands. We don't have time to babysit or cheerlead, and not to be the micromanager, not to be the bad guy.
And you can't do it overnight. but where do you start, is the question, and it starts with the people. Like you have to, be present for the people and move forward together, forwarding trust, and you move from there. In a perfect world, you could do it overnight, but
yeah. And I would challenge that just a little bit, Ghislain. I would say it starts with the self.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The skills to be able to focus on people.
Of course.
How to do these really challenging things while still keeping people at the center of your strategy. Not an easy task. And leadership isn't easy. I think there's a lot of, idealism around leadership and how beautiful it is. And it is rewarding and the hardest thing. Kelsey, what would you like to add here? You're just sitting back and I'm like, I feel like your wheels are turning and there's something.
No. Excuse me. I think it's interesting to think about leadership, and like Ghislain was talking very openly about emotions, but like we're not used to thinking about leadership and emotions being on the table because we come from a society where, back in the day, you were told to leave your emotions at the door, and now we're looking at it differently and saying, no, those are valuable. That's valuable intel that we can use. But it's to know how to use these emotions, which a lot of people don't know because it's not something we were taught at school. It's not something that's normally taught in the workplace because of that old mentality of leave your emotions at the door. You're here to work. However, you're emoting all the time, and different emotions are coming up at the same time, along with you're dealing it with yourself internally, but also with other people when you are in a leadership position.
And we don't get to choose which emotions we allow and not allow in the workplace, because we're asking for things like trust and loyalty and excitement, and engagement is emotional commitment to the work. So we're actually asking people to show up with some of those, what we perceive as positive emotions. But we can't have one without the other. And so if we want people to want to be here, to feel engaged, the way to that is to lead people and to know how to navigate those emotions. And that's where influence really comes in. and it can be a beautiful thing. So Ghislain, let's talk a little bit about onboarding, if you're open to.
Yes.
So you've experienced my version of onboarding, just people focused on many different layers. What would you say about your experience in the onboarding process with me, and what stands out to you as things that were helpful?
Well, I feel like the biggest part of onboarding and we've done it extreme well, you had it set up extremely well for me to walk in, is we as a company know where we're headed, right? So that's, I feel, is the most important part, knowing what the kind of our mission and vision is easier to immerse yourself in a team that way, because I could really feel that um, the moment I started with you guys. We know where we're headed. Here's what's expected, and what kind of the, not expected, but what your role is, what the description of the role was, and having the keys to my own kingdom was big as well. So right from the start is, listen, this is kind of your world. um not gonna not gonna breathe down your neck on some of these. So basically saying, we trust you, and you're here for a reason. I'd say, based on previous experiences, it had been over a decade for me to be onboarded anywhere. So I didn't necessarily remember how it had happened last time, but um, just at the very foundation of that, if knowing where you're headed and what you're looking for, really facilitated the onboarding for me. Uh, you knew what you were looking for, Melissa, and where
Yes.
you're headed.
So I'm hearing three things here that stand out. One is what we are about as a company and where we're heading,
Mhm.
which is more than any SMART goals. This you're speaking to really our purpose as a company and the impact that we want to have on the world, and I'm very clear on that. Two, you're talking about clear expectations as to your role. And three, the autonomy to learn and grow your world, your role, your world, your kingdom in the way that resonates with you, with some direction from me, which is really about the ends, where this is where we're heading. How can you and your kingdom help us get there?
You use much better words than I did, but that's
I'm just summarizing the essence. And here are my clients who are listening, like Natalie. This is part of active listening, summarizing the essence. All right. So those were key things. And you also did a ton of training. So Ghislain has spent this last 4 months training in, he's taken the Executive Edge program, which is my signature 8-week development program. He has taken some choice theory training to understand more about how we operate, how we speak, the communication framework that we use here. And what else have you trained on?
I mean, just working with you on a weekly basis has been you're pretty amazing facilitator. So just picking bits and pieces of just how you work through various situations with different organizations has been extremely helpful. My 7 weeks in choice theory were kind of eye-opening on total behavior and how it's a part of our everyday life, and and your flagship program, Executive Edge, being having a foundation that most of it stems from, or there's some choice theory and reality therapy in there. So really sealed everything together. And I recently started your accelerator program, so that's just going to be, you're throwing me in the deep end on that one. uh,
Yes. I'm inviting you to come swim in the deep end. In my accelerator, we take off the guardrails and we do go swim in the deep end. There's more ambiguity, there's more place for play and learning, and really diving deep into core things like influence and conflict and coaching employees and effective feedback and facilitating trust and those big things that are easy to say and very hard to practice every day, and very hard to practice when things are going wrong. People are emotional. There's stress. There's more to do than there is time. That's when it's hard to practice these things, and it is hard. It's easy to know what, the concept. It's harder to put it into practice on a day-to-day. And so that's really my focus, is making sure that we're taking all of those concepts and we're practicing it. So we're taking everything from the executive edge, the foundation that we've built, and then we go deeper into practicing that every day in the accelerator, which is a 6-month program. Going to really
I'm excited.
not only dip our toes and practice swimming, but actually doing it. So it's very interesting. And for you, Ghislain, everything that I do, I like to measure. So for anyone who hasn't worked with me, I like to measure everything. Beginning, I use validated assessments in order to do that. And I have very specific assessments for different scenarios. Ghislain has done the EQ profile before and after the executive edge. And he also did another one that's called the EQ influence profile, which gives us a snapshot of his influence. And he did one when he started. So onboarding, that was part of his onboarding. And then he just redid it. So Ghislain, in 4 months, what would you say about your growth?
It's
Personally,
almost
professionally?
it's almost unbelievable when you look at the initial and the reassessment. But once you see the reassessment, it all kind of makes sense, because I'll just touch on one thing you mentioned, going through the programs with you and Maureen for choice theory. A lot of practice. It's not, I didn't feel like I was sitting in front of a screen listening to a video and sent home with a bunch of homework. I felt this, a lot of practice, and as soon as you get off those calls or those meetings, you start practicing right away, and you'll notice a difference professionally in your how you interact with colleagues or people you work with or other professional connections, but also on a personal level. It really applies from A to Z. It's not just a professional development program.
Exactly. We're whole beings,
Mm.
and it applies to relationships. So the skills can be used in every interaction, in every conversation, in every piece of communication, that it be written, that it be verbal, that it be on stage, in all areas of life.
All I can add is I thought I was emotionally literate and being able to recognize emotions and conversations and people's perceptions and so on, until I met you and was assessed and reassessed. And now
And you
I
learned
feel
everything that you didn't know yet, right?
exactly. So it's been fun, and I can see how this will be helpful for the future, basically moving forward every day.
And that's very common to what my clients tell me, especially after the 8-week program, is like, wow, you opened up a world that I didn't know was there. And now I know how much I still want to learn.
Oftentimes it's like, okay, yeah, I have trust. I'm going to check off that box. And yeah, okay, I've had the difficult conversations, check off that box, but it's not a box to check off. It's constantly working on those and developing them and growing. And Ghislain had the opportunity to go through the executive edge, and also experience your live facilitation at the Compassionate Leaders Workshop, as well as the Influential Leader Workshop. So he's definitely had the full meal deal since he joined the team. And I think we are better for it because he's really been able to experience how we work and how we work under pressure sometimes, but also, the content and how important people are in our business and putting them first.
And it's really helped me understand how beneficial it may be for an individual looking to keep developing, like the lifelong learners I like to refer to. But also I'm seeing firsthand how it can impact or heavily impact an organization as a whole, like within teams. But as we do more work with organizations, it's really impactful. So it's great to see we're able to help people and businesses with their goals.
Absolutely. So we operate and we approach our team the same way that we approach clients, with the leading people first approach. So I'd love to know, this is going to be my last question. I'm going to put you both in the hot seat. What do we do differently on our team? How do we embody leading people first on our team, from your perspective?
I'll start, Ghislain. We put we understand what their perfect world looks like. We truly listen to our customers, and we don't try to cram anything down their throats, pardon my French. We sit with them, we're present with them, and we ensure that of what they're looking for and what we have to offer really can mesh naturally. I've never seen anybody refer business out like you did, Melissa. So, it's really obvious that, if we know that the programs we have aren't there, or, it wouldn't be beneficial, then we're honest.
Absolutely. And I've been known to say no to a lot of things, because it needs to be the right fit for both.
Absolutely.
Ghislain, what would you say about our team?
I would say we all have a voice, and our voice is very important. And like Ghislain mentioned, the keys to the kingdom, that we are given that autonomy from the beginning, but with a lot of communication and transparency expected with that responsibility of autonomy, and how important that is to keep it, to keep moving forward, and that communication and transparency to be there. That has been, coming from a past corporate background, not so much in a leadership side, but feeling like I'm actually part of a team and not just an employee number has been huge for me. Seeing and physically seeing clients, but also having that dialogue back and forth, and building those relationships myself with clients has been extremely beneficial and rewarding to me, to know that we're serving, with that people first mindset and the actions behind it. It's not just, fluff. It's actual, like, tangible things that we put forward every day. And excuse me, but the way that you've been training myself, like, I've been here just over 2 years now, and I'm thinking like you now, and in a very positive way of, okay, what would Melissa do in this situation? I think she would do X, Y, and Z, and then being able to kind of run with it and know that, okay, that's the way that Melissa would handle this type of situation. has been very rewarding for me to know that I'm taking the steps that need to be taken, because I've learned so much from your dialogue back to me in explaining why you do the things that you do. So it's not like you're just telling me what to do. You've never really told me what to do. We figure it out together if I'm having any issues. So that has been a huge learning for me is, I have my own answers. It's just sometimes, you pulling on strings to figure out those help me figure out those answers.
That's exactly what a leader wants to hear from the staff. So for me, that feeling of being a real team, that ability to show up on meetings, to converse, to communicate with openness, with transparency, with care for each other. We're interested in each other. We feel like a family. We don't let things fester. We just move through emotions. We move through any tensions as soon as they come up. And we're always grateful, regardless of if it's a good day, a bad day. There's a lot of gratitude on this team. As a team coach, I can tell you that gratitude is a key ingredient that keeps teams together. And it's very easy for me to see when I do team assessments, the people who are closest together and who are tight have a ton of gratitude, and they're expressing and sharing their gratitude more frequently than the ones who are more on the outskirts. So gratitude pulls people together. And I'm very, very, very appreciative of that gratitude. And I love coming to work and working with you both every day. And enjoying the work you do and enjoying the people you do it with is a blessing. It's a gift. It's a gift.
Absolutely.
And it is possible. By the way, it is possible. It's not just like, ooh, if you have the right people. No, it's possible to create this. And leadership has a ton of influence potential on creating this type of dynamic. So if you are interested in knowing about what this might look like for you, Ghislain is your person. Ghislain can help you explore what's missing, what might you need, what are the obstacles, what's the real challenge that you're facing, and making sure that you have the right resources and the right solution in front of you. So if somebody wants to get in contact with you, Ghislain, how might they do that?
The fastest and easiest way is finding me on LinkedIn, Ghislain Levesque. Connect with me on there, and we could take it from there. But other than that, you could email me directly at my email is ghislain@inchargecoaching.ca, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you.
You got
I've
that.
also,
Kelsey
yeah,
on it.
I was just going to say, I've just added the link to book a consult if needed. It's right there in Facebook world. So clicking on that link will take you to our website, and you'll be able to book with Ghislain.
Have a great day, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Wish you a great week with your team moving towards your goals. Enjoy your coffee. Bye.